So I've pulled up to a house here to do an inspection. Gardener's reporting some issues with the lawn, suspects grubs, but I want to take a look and see and show you what I can do to take a look at it. Here's the lawn. We see patchiness, obviously, some bare spots. It looks like the gardener's been here to rake up some things. So what we want to look for is what's happening. The first and easy place to look is where the patches are just on the outside, and we want to take a tug. We want to see if anything's actually lifting up. We've been here to fertilize already, so we're going to see some granules. One of the things that I'm seeing here is obviously there is some animal digging, but this is like typically squirrels. You notice it by the size of that. Here's my hand for reference point. Here's another one. They typically dig up looking for nuts, things like that. Got some other activity here, but it looks like this is related to probably, yes, some sort of cable or something like that. So let's take a little look here and see. I've just got a little knife here. I'm just gonna do a little spot here. Grubs go up and down depending on the temperature of the soil. So it seems to be a nice root system. All lawns can have a little bit of grubs, but generally 1 or 2, or sorry, closer to 5 per square foot if it's unhealthy, and even as much as 10 if it is healthy, meaning well watered, fertilized, all of that regularly. So I've checked that one spot, not a single grub. Let's take another spot over here. What I am noticing is there's some very clumpy grasses in here. These types of grasses, notice how they grow in a bit of a clump. Here's some more. As you can see, they start at one little spot. So here's another spot that I'm going to cut into and just see what I can find. I'm looking in here. It's a good thing when it doesn't peel up easily. That means it's got roots in there. So I'm not seeing anything. See a rock, that's about it. But normally you would see some grubs and it would peel up really, really easy. So this is obviously not a grub area. What I can tell you is this area faces south. That's down to the south in this direction. South side of trees is typically where you're going to see either A, grub damage, or B, chinch bug damage at different times of the year. Chinch bug usually shows up when it's hot and dry out. We can see a big difference in this lawn, the types of weeds next door to it versus this lawn where we've been treating. One of the things I do notice is this is mowed very short. The higher you mow the grass, the thicker and deeper the roots will grow. So I'm going to go to the backyard in a second and take a look there. So as I come to the backyard, I am noticing some brownness. Now, I'm now protected by this hedge here, so this area doesn't get as much sunlight early in the spring. I do see some sort of moss and very low grass. This type of grass looks like bent grass. So as I come up through here, I see a brown area up above. This is very common for people to think if it's browning up while other areas are greening, that they must have some sort of a grub or insect issue. What I'm seeing here is damage from the winter. This is a great spot to take a look. And I can see that this grass is very fine rooted, or sorry, fine stemmed. It needs to be raked up and it will pull. It has practically no roots. Bent grass is known for a very, very shallow root system. So let's inspect though and see if there's grubs, and if there is, how many. So I'm pulling back here and taking a look. I think I might see one. There's one right there, actually. So that's what a grub looks like. This is not what a grub looks like. See that little wire worm there? Often people think of those as, it's gone away on me. And there's some earthworms, that shows healthy soil. But let's keep digging and looking. Remember what we said earlier, there should be definitely many per square foot if the damage is caused by that. As I break this apart, I'm not seeing any others. So we had one grub there, lots of earthworms. So, but this will lift up because this type of grass, being so fine, does not have roots. There's two that are very similar, annual bluegrass and bentgrass. Tell by the color and the stem itself. So that's a patch of that, and as you can see, it's grown in a patch because that's how bentgrass kind of goes. It's right next to a golf course back here. So golf courses, their tee boxes and greens are almost always full of bentgrass, and we typically see this in more mature lawns. That's exactly what I'm seeing here. If you notice and take any spot, you go from kind of fine grass next to some thicker bladed grass that's more resilient. So that's what I'm seeing here. So digging down, looking. This isn't pulling up. The bentgrass part's pulling up. I'm not really seeing a grub issue. As I dig that up, let's see, I'd be seeing, for this kind of browning, what you would see is a whole lot of grubs in there, at least 3 or 4 right there, and I'm not seeing them. So, not a single one there. I am convinced that this is simply damage. Now, it could be snow mold. Either way, raking it out, this area will actually green up quite nice and look good in the summer. The problem is right now, it looks horrible. And then when it gets really hot and dry, it'll be the exact same thing. Here you can see it kind of intermingled amongst other grasses. In this type of situation, good stiff raking, overseeding, compost application would be the most prescribed thing for it, and generally changing your watering. We see a lot of this on properties whose sprinkler systems are often turned on too frequently, and they get shallow waterings, which encourages shallow rooted grasses. So I'm Kyle Tobin from LawnSavers, giving you an in-depth look at a typical spring lawn and the types of issues that you see with it, and then we'll visit back at this property later and see how it's come around.